They say the people closest to you are supposed to protect you. But what if the very person you trusted most, your own sister, was secretly plotting your death one pill at a time? I knew something was wrong the moment I took my morning medication. The pills looked slightly different, but my mother had just refilled my prescription yesterday, so I assumed the pharmacy had switched to a generic brand. That decision almost cost me my life. I'm Maya Thompson, 26, living with a congenital heart condition that requires daily medication. My younger sister, Sophia, 23, had always been jealous of the attention my condition brought me. Growing up, she'd make comments like, "Must be nice to have everyone worry about you all the time." Or another hospital visit. "At least you get to skip work." That morning, I felt dizzy within minutes of taking my medication. My heart was racing unusually fast, and my vision started blurring. I called out to my mom, who was visiting for the weekend. "You're being dramatic again," she sighed, barely looking up from her phone. "Sophie is right. You do milk your condition for attention." The room started spinning and I collapsed in the kitchen. The last thing I heard was Sophia's voice, surprisingly calm. "See, she's faking it again." I woke up in the ICU surrounded by beeping machines and concerned medical staff. Dr. Adams, my cardiologist for the past 5 years, stood at my bedside with an expression I'd never seen before, a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Maya," he said gravely, "your blood pressure was dangerously high when you were brought in. We're running toxicology tests. These symptoms, they're not consistent with missed medication. Something else is going on." My parents and Sophia arrived shortly after, putting on a show of concern for the hospital staff. But when Dr. Adams stepped out, their attitudes changed. "You need to tell them it was an accident," Mom hissed. "Say you mixed up your pills or something." Sophia perched on the edge of my bed, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the railing. "It was just a little joke," she said, rolling her eyes. "I switched your heart meds with some vitamin supplements. How was I supposed to know you'd freak out like this?" I stared at her in shock. "You did what?" "Lower your voice," Dad warned. "We don't need the whole hospital hearing our private family matters." "Private family matters?" I struggled to sit up. "She tampered with my medication." "It was a prank, Maya," Mom insisted. "Sophie's been going through a rough time since her breakup. She wasn't thinking clearly. You know how sisters tease each other." Before I could respond, Dr. Adams returned with a folder and a police officer. My family's faces immediately switched back to concerned expressions. "Maya," Dr. Adams said, his voice stern, "we got your preliminary toxicology results back. What we found," he paused, looking directly at Sophia, "was not vitamins." Officer Rivera stepped forward. "Miss Thompson, the substances found in your system are consistent with beta blockers and other medications that when combined with your heart medication could have been fatal. This wasn't a prank. This was deliberate." Sophia's face went pale. Mom jumped in immediately. "There must be some mistake. Our girls play little jokes on each other all the time." "Jokes?" Dr. Adams's voice was sharp. "Mrs. Thompson, your daughter could have died. In fact, if her body hadn't reacted so quickly, causing her to collapse and get medical attention, we wouldn't be having this conversation." I looked at my sister, seeing her clearly for the first time. Behind her perfect facade and innocent expressions, there was something cold in her eyes. How many times had she tampered with my medication before? How many of my episodes were actually her pranks? "We're just getting started with the tests," Dr. Adams continued. "Officer Rivera needs to take your statement, Maya. And given the circumstances, we're implementing a no-visitor policy except for medical staff." "You can't do that," Mom protested. "We're her family." Officer Rivera stood firm. "Ma'am, right now you and your daughter are potential suspects in what appears to be an attempted homicide. I'm going to have to ask you all to leave." As security escorted my family out, Sophia turned back with a look that sent chills down my spine. "It was just a joke," she called out. "Tell them, Maya. Tell them what a good sister I've always been." But the preliminary blood tests were just the beginning. What they would find next would reveal that this prank was part of something much darker, something that had been going on for years. The toxicology reports kept coming in over the next few days, each one more disturbing than the last. Dr. Adams and Officer Rivera sat with me as they explained their findings. We found traces of multiple substances in your system, Dr. Adams explained, spreading out the reports. Not just from that day, but evidence of long-term exposure. Different medications, all potentially lethal when combined with your heart condition. Officer Rivera pulled out a notebook. We searched your apartment with your permission. The forensic team found residue of crushed pills in several of your food containers. This wasn't a one-time thing, Maya. My hands shook as I processed this information. How long? Based on the blood work and hair follicle tests, at least 8 months, Dr. Adams said quietly. Those unexplained episodes you had, the times you felt worse after supposedly taking your medication. It wasn't your condition deteriorating. Someone was poisoning you. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Memories started flooding back. Sophie offering to make me smoothies, insisting on organizing my pill container, always being around when I had unexpected episodes. There's more, Officer Rivera added. We found a diary in your sister's car. She's been documenting everything. The amounts, the reactions, timing, it's all there. My mother had been calling the hospital nonstop, leaving messages about family loyalty and sisterly misunderstandings. The hospital staff had been instructed not to put any calls through to my room. A psychiatric evaluator, Dr. Chun, joined my case. Your sister's diary entries are concerning, she explained. They show a pattern of calculated behavior, not impulsive pranks. She wrote about watching you suffer, timing your reactions, even celebrating when you had to miss important events due to illness. The police investigation uncovered more disturbing evidence. Sophia had been researching untraceable poisons, joining online forums about mimicking heart conditions. She even befriended a pharmacy technician to learn about drug interactions. What I don't understand is why, I said during one of my sessions with Dr. Chen. We grew up together. She's my sister. From what we've gathered, Dr. Chen replied carefully, your sister has been struggling with severe jealousy and resentment since childhood. Your medical condition meant you received more attention, which she interpreted as favoritism. Instead of developing empathy, she developed a dangerous fixation. My parents' response to the mounting evidence was denial and manipulation. They hired a lawyer who tried to paint Sophia as a troubled but well-meaning sister who just made some poor choices. They're still trying to protect her, I told Officer Rivera, who had become a steady support through this nightmare. It's not uncommon in cases like this, she explained. Some parents would rather believe in a comfortable lie than face a horrifying truth. The hospital security caught Sophia trying to sneak into my room dressed as a nurse one night. In her bag, they found more unmarked pills. When confronted, she broke down and started laughing. I just wanted to fix her, she told the security guards. If she was really sick, instead of just pretending, maybe people would see I'm the strong one. The district attorney decided to press charges, not just against Sophia, but also against my parents for obstruction of justice. Evidence showed they had deleted text messages where Sophia talked about her experiments with my medication. Dr. Adams implemented new protocols for my care. All my medications would now come from a specific pharmacy with tamper-proof packaging. He also ordered comprehensive testing of all my previous blood samples, searching for patterns we might have missed. The system failed you before, he admitted. We should have noticed something wasn't right when your symptoms didn't match your condition's usual progression. As I lay in my hospital bed that night, watching the city lights through my window, I thought about all the times I defended Sophia to others. She's just having a hard time, I'd say. She doesn't mean to be cruel. But the truth was in those blood tests, in her diary, in the calculated way she'd systematically tried to destroy my health while pretending to be a caring sister. The doctor said I would recover, but my trust in family, that might be permanently broken. 1 year later, I sat in the courtroom listening to the judge deliver the verdict. Sophia, dressed in a conservative blue suit, maintained her innocent expression until the end. But when the judge announced guilty on all counts, her mask finally cracked. You're going to miss me, you know, she screamed as they led her away. Who's going to take care of you now, Maya? Who's going to be your sister? The sentence was harsh, 15 years for attempted murder, with additional charges for tampering with medication and premeditated poisoning. My parents, found guilty of obstruction of justice and endangering a vulnerable adult, received 3 years of probation and mandatory counseling. Dr. Adams testified during the trial, presenting medical evidence that showed how close I came to death multiple times. This wasn't just poisoning, he explained to the court. This was sophisticated medical torture designed to prolong suffering while maintaining plausible deniability. The diary entries they read in court revealed the true extent of Sophia's disturbed mind. She'd written about watching me sleep after poisoning my food, timing how long it took for symptoms to appear, even calculating which doses would make me sick enough to miss important events, but not sick enough to die. At least not quickly. I want her to suffer like I suffered, one entry read. Every time Mom and Dad rush to her hospital bed. Every time they cancel my events because of her emergency. Now she'll know what it feels like to have your life controlled by illness. My parents tried to approach me after the sentencing, but Officer Rivera and my victim advocate stood firm. Haven't you done enough? Officer Rivera asked them. The restraining order is still in effect. Mom called out anyway. We're still family, Maya. Families forgive. But I learned that real family doesn't poison you, doesn't gaslight you, doesn't choose to protect your attempted murderer just to maintain appearances. My recovery involved more than just physical healing. Dr. Chen helped me work through the psychological trauma of being systematically poisoned by my own sister, while my parents turned a blind eye. You're not just dealing with the physical effects, she explained during one session. You're grieving the loss of the family you thought you had. The case gained national attention, leading to new legislation about medication tampering and family abuse. Dr. Adams worked with pharmaceutical companies to develop better tamper-proof packaging for home medications. Your story saved lives, he told me during a checkup. We've implemented new protocols for monitoring patients with chronic conditions, looking for signs of medication tampering. 3 cases have already been identified and stopped. I moved to a new city, started a support group for survivors of family abuse, and slowly built a new life. My heart condition stabilized once I was actually taking the right medications without interference. The most healing moment came 6 months after the trial when another family reached out to me. Their daughter had noticed her sister tampering with their mother's heart medication. Because they'd heard my story on the news, they knew the signs and stopped it before tragedy struck. You helped us see the truth before it was too late, the mother told me. We got our daughter the psychiatric help she needed, instead of enabling her like your parents did with Sophia. Today I work as a patient advocate helping others recognize and escape medical abuse. My story is used in training programs for healthcare providers, teaching them to look beyond the caring family facade. Dr. Adams and Officer Rivera remain part of my new support system, along with friends who proved that family isn't always about blood. You didn't just survive, Dr. Chen told me in our final session. You turned your trauma into a tool to help others. That's real strength. Sometimes I still get cards from my parents talking about forgiveness and family unity. Sophia writes too, from prison, alternating between apologies and threats. I don't read them anymore. Instead, I focus on my work, my real friends, and the family I've chosen. My heart condition requires daily medication, but now it comes with safety seals and verification codes. More importantly, it comes with the knowledge that I'm finally truly safe. Your sister's actions nearly killed you, Dr. Adams said during my last checkup. But they also set you free. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our best lives. Looking out from my new apartment, watching the sunset over a city where nobody knows me as the girl whose sister poisoned her, I finally feel at peace. My heart is stronger now. Not just physically, but in knowing that I survived, thrived, and turned my nightmare into a wake-up call for others.